With the January window fast approaching, there is one club that arguably needs to spend more than anyone else. Despite their takeover by the Public Investment Fund of Saudi Arabia, making them technically by far the richest club in the Premier League, Newcastle United are in serious danger of relegation. After 18 games, they sit 19th in the division, having conceded more than any other side, while only Watford and Norwich have lost more games. If the new ownership don't want their first year in charge of the Magpies to end in embarrassment, then investment will be needed in January. But while they have the means to spend big, their dream targets are almost certainly out of reach. Here are 3 realistic signings they could make to aid their bid for Premier League survival. Nat Phillips. While Newcastle have issues all over the pitch, there's no doubt that their biggest problem lies in defence. After 16 Premier League games, the Magpies have conceded 34 goals, more than any other club in the division, a rate of 2.1 a game. Carry on at this rate, and Eddie Howe's side will have conceded 81 by the end of the campaign. Over the last 10 years, only 2 sides have conceded more than that across a single Prem season, with Fulham in 2013-14 the last to do so. And while their expected goals against suggest they should have conceded fewer, it still makes for bad reading. Across an entire season, it would work out to 66 goals against, which is still more than 2 of the 3 relegated sides conceded last term. Meanwhile, they've also conceded 6 penalties this season, 2 more than any other Premier League side, further indicating their lack of discipline at the back. And with recent reports in Newcastle suggesting the club could soon sell Kieran and Federico Fernandez in January, at least one reinforcement will be needed in the back line. The name most prominently linked with the Magpies is Sven Botman, and he would certainly be an excellent pickup at just 21 years of age, having formed part of a near impenetrable Lille defence that won the league Untitled last term. However, with the French outfit qualifying for the Champions League last 16, whether such a highly rated young centre-back would want to swap that for a dysfunctional side deep in a relegation battle is another matter. Liverpool's Joe Gomez, who is reportedly keen on a loan move to gain more minutes, is another option. But given his injury record and the fact he last started a Premier League game in November 2020, makes him far from a safe bet. His teammate Nat Phillips, however, is also desperately in need of first-team football and could be a good option. While Phillips is currently on the sidelines himself, he's due to return to action in January, and given how reliable he was when called upon last season, it's clear he's good enough to start regularly for a Premier League club. With West Ham reportedly interested, a move to St James's Park may not be Phillips' best option. But unlike at the London Stadium, where the return of Kurt Zouma would potentially see him pushed onto the bench, Phillips would be one of the first names on the team sheet under Eddie Howe. Described by Jurgen Klopp as one of the most intelligent players he's ever worked with, Phillips also possesses the physical qualities needed to reinforce a defence that is so often on the back foot. At 6'3", the Englishman is taller than any of Newcastle's current centre-backs bar Fernandez, and won a staggering 5.9 aerial duels per 90 last season, with Jamal Lascelles the most active Magpie defender in the air this season, winning 3.9 of his duels. While Howe's side have conceded just 3 goals from set pieces this term, less than 10% of their total, Phillips' presence in the defensive third would still be invaluable, especially in big games against fellow relegation strugglers like Burnley and Watford. He's also confident on the ball, as showcased by the Cruyff turn he enacted inside his own penalty area to relieve pressure, Liverpool's recent victory over Milan in the Champions League, while his passing range will also be of use. Last term he averaged 4.8 passes into the final third each game, more than Fabinho averaged, and a figure that would rank him second only to Jonjo Shelvey in the Newcastle squad. And while the Magpies aren't set up to play out from the back, given the responsibility to do so, Phillips could bring more control to the side in possession. With reports suggesting he will be available for just £15 million, the 24-year-old may not be the glamorous first signing that the PIF were dreaming of when taking over on Tyneside, but he is probably the most necessary acquisition they could make. Axel Witsel. But it's not just in central defence that Newcastle need to shore up. Part of the side's problem in recent years has been a midfield that all too easily lets opponents through to attack an exposed back line. And even when they've been more organised, forming such a low block that barring some brilliance from Saint-Maximin, they've often struggled to hit teams on the break effectively. This term they rank 3rd bottom in the league for tackles in the middle third, which is particularly damning when you consider they also rank bottom for possession. So someone who can add extra steel and provide more control in the centre of the park would be incredibly useful to Eddie Howe. And while young Marseille star Boubacar Kamara has been a target for the club in the past, someone with the experience of Axel Witsel may be a safer short-term bet. After all, Newcastle need players who can keep them up in the next 5 months to go with more long-term investments. Although moving from Dortmund to Tyneside may be a tough sell, Witsel's contract is up in the summer, and at 32 would no doubt be tempted by one last big payday. While Juventus are reportedly interested, he previously turned down the Italian giants to move to the Chinese Super League, and the Magpies would almost certainly be able to offer him a higher wage. His club, meanwhile, may be tempted to let go of him early should they receive a fee in January. Witsel currently makes 3.3 tackles and interceptions per 90, an average that would rank him 9th in the Newcastle squad. But given that Dortmund averaged 60% possession, this is pretty understandable. But while he also ranks 4th among midfielders at the Westfalenstadion in this metric, it merely indicates that breaking up play is not what he is primarily on the pitch for. He's also spent a fair amount of time covering at centre-back, where he faces less traffic. At Newcastle, he would certainly be required to win possession more often, but it's his ability on the ball which will be most welcomed. An excellent distributor, Witsel has sustained a 94% pass accuracy this term, and also completes a highly impressive 95% of his long balls. A problem for him this term though has been the direction of such passes. His 4.6 passes into the final third per 90 is his lowest average of his Dortmund career, down from 7.4 in 2018-19, while his 3 progressive passes is down from 4 last term. However, while the fullbacks provide most of the ball progression for Marco Rosa's side, Witsel would likely be given more responsibility on Tyneside, where Jonjo Shelvey is the only player providing any forward passing. He may not be the young, shiny, exciting signing that Newcastle fans may want, but Witsel would make Eddie Howe's midfield more imposing both in and out of possession. Moussa Sylla. While we've gone for fairly safe bets in defence and midfield, we've pipped for a more left field option in attack. Although the completion of the Newcastle takeover in October brought with it rumours of arrivals as glamorous as Philippe Coutinho, moves like this just don't seem that feasible with the club staring down the barrel of relegation. But one thing's for sure, they're in desperate need of creativity, with Saint-Maximin and Matt Ritchie the only squad members to register over 1 expected assist so far this term. So while a target like Jesse Lingard would certainly improve the attack with his directness and tenacity, he is more of a goal scorer than a provider. Moussa Sylla, who was impressed for Utrecht this term, may be worth taking a punt on in this regard. A product of the Monaco Academy, Sylla joined the Dutch side for free in 2020. In his first season in the Netherlands, the 22-year-old made just 4 starts, with 17 appearances coming off the bench, but this term that has all changed. Sylla is now one of Utrecht's most important players, ranking joint second in the side for goals scored on 4 and joint first for assists with 2. These numbers may not look too spectacular, but that still works out to over a goal contribution every other game, while he excels in chance creation, something Newcastle lacks severely on their right-hand side. Sylla averages 2.4 key passes per 90, more than any other right-sided forward in the Eredivisie, with just 0.5 of them coming from set pieces, while he also puts in an outrageous 7.6 crosses per 90. This level of productivity would likely come down in a Newcastle side which is so often on the back foot. Having another creative outlet, and crucially one who brings balance to the Magpies' attack, will only see a natural goalscorer like Callum Wilson benefit. Considering this is the first campaign of Sylla's career in which he has started regularly, he should ideally have at least another season in the Eredivisie before making the step up to a bigger league. But given Newcastle probably won't have too many players to choose from in January, it could be worth them taking a gamble on the youngster. Valued at just €1.5 million by Transfermarkt, he wouldn't be a very costly gamble either. So that was 3 signings that can save Newcastle's season, but what do you make of our choices, and do you have any suggestions of your own? Let us know in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this video do give it a like, and subscribe to the channel for more great content. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.